Okay.
Well, Jamie, good afternoon. How are we
Good
doing today?
afternoon. It's going really well. I say this every time, but you know what? I'm excited for the topic we have today.
Yes, I was feeling a little bit down an hour ago, but the walk we took for a few minutes, leisurely, and the weather, mind blowing. So I think I'm energized, ready for this talk as well. It is a beautiful day in Des Moines, Iowa.
I am. I agree. I think there's so many things that we can talk about because metabolism is a confusing topic. And so I think there's lots of people with questions out there, and we hope to simplify things. But as you guys join us, please say hello. We want to talk with you. We want to interact with you. Let us know who you are and where you're watching from, and ask your questions. We are here to answer all your questions.
If you are watching it after hours later on, please put your comments. We will answer them as well. Jamie, did you know that my board certification is in endocrinology, diabetes, and metabolism? So,
Okay.
even though I do endocrinology and diabetes all the time, I do not talk much about metabolism. So, I'm really interested in today's topic and seeing what we have to say. So, perhaps we can get started. Well, welcome everyone. And this is cool. I mean, think about it. Did you know that if you just did a workout, your body could keep burning extra calories for as long as 3 days? For example, if you did an 8 minute HIT workout, high intensity, you could be burning 65 more calories later on. Now, that's cool. You burn calories right then, but later on. So, great topic today. And so, what are we talking about today? What is metabolism and how does it affect your weight? The cool stuff, the foods and drinks that can speed up metabolism. Now, that's cool. And then how can you increase it through activities? So really, really cool stuff today. And to help us with this topic, of course, we have Jamie, our pharmacist, our passionate diabetes champ. And then today we are also bringing in Christine Burke, physician assistant with Iowa Diabetes. I don't know where she gets her energy from, but she has a lot of it. So maybe she'll tell us all the secrets today. So just excited about this energized topic. And Christine, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I am super excited about this topic as well. These are things we go over with our patients a lot. And we're going to give you guys some tips today that are easily incorporated into your daily routine, not just to help boost metabolism, but help lower blood sugars, help reduce insulin resistance. So I'm really excited to share some of these things with you guys.
Yes, let's get us started. Thank you guys for introducing yourselves to us as you're coming in. We've also got Kathy here. So, Kathy, hello.
Hello.
We've got our first question actually. So we can either answer this now, Christine, or we can answer it as we go through. But how does PCOS affect the insulin resistance and weight? And this one also could be for Dr. Bhargava as well. So let me bring them back in.
All right, I might take that. Just it's one of the more. It's PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's one of the most fascinating conditions and very common. And it goes. And the name of the person is Taflower. I now know it's D Flour and Spices. What a cool name! So thank you for distracting me right there with your name. So. In As we gain weight, we become insulin resistant. So all of us do that over time. In women, it has a special impact on the ovaries, where they start producing those hormones they produce in an irregular fashion, and also effect on the egg production. So what that leads to is irregular menstrual cycles, an imbalance between testosterone and estrogen, so some facial hair growth and so forth. So that's what polycystic ovarian syndrome is. And I think if you reduce your weight, you reduce your insulin resistance, and you reduce the symptoms. So they're very tightly linked. It's a great relationship. And really, the most important thing to work there is on your weight. We got quite a few hellos. So, Jamie, I'll give it back to you. But great question to start the day today.
I know. Great question to get us started. We're always talking about insulin resistance, and then also how do we burn more calories? So I think it all fits in because as we burn more calories, hopefully we're able to lose additional weight. So yes, we have some more hellos. Carol, hello from Pokey. I actually don't know where Pokey is, so I need a picture of where you're from, Carol. Diane, hello. And then Holly, welcome back. I love seeing everybody's names as they're coming through. We're going to do another quick activity as we're started today because we've got a heavy topic. We want to know TIL. Today I learned, and we want you guys to let us know what you're learning throughout this entire session. So as you're learning something new, write TIL, and then let us know what you learned. This gives us feedback to let us know that you're learning things, that you're taking things away. And we kind of have fun with it. And at the end of the day, usually I learn one thing, either from the audience or from Dr. Bhargava or Christine. So I also add in what I learned today as well. Definitely. So let's get started. We want to know a question from you guys. How comfortable are you with the concept of metabolism? So never heard of it, not quite sure what it is. You know what it is, and I understand it pretty well. So type in the chat. Let us know what you know about metabolism. So Kinsey, it's a hard word to say over.
It can be a hard word to say. Say it like 5 times fast, right?
Yeah. So we're getting some B's, some C's. John says very familiar, but a lot of people, I would say, are in the C range. Know it, but could learn some more. And I think even me, I understand it, but you know what? I could learn some more definitely about it. So Christine, what are some things that you think you can teach us about, like, what is metabolism?
You know, we hear about this term metabolism and boosting your metabolism, but what does that actually mean? So your body utilizes energy every day to do a lot of the tasks that we don't even think about: breathing, thinking, seeing. And those everyday tasks that we're doing, that's what makes up your basic metabolic rate. That's like 60 to 75% of the total amount of calories that your body needs just to do those basic functions. And then your body uses about 10% of its energy to digest the food that we eat. And then about 15 to 30% based on your body composition, how active you are, to fuel your physical energy. So that, in a nutshell, metabolism is the energy your body needs to function. And so your body's always burning calories all the time. Now, sometimes we think about dieting and crash diets, you know, when you're depriving your body of calories, that can actually lower your metabolism, because a lot of times with those diets, you're also losing muscle. And it takes your body more energy to maintain muscle than it does fat. So if you're losing muscle, once that diet is over and you're starting to go back to eating, you know, a more neutral calorie intake, you actually have lowered your metabolism and you're more likely to gain that weight back, and even more so. So we're going to talk today about some natural ways that you can boost your metabolism, not any kind of starvation diets, but different foods and activities that truly have been shown to increase your metabolism, that can be incorporated into your everyday lifestyle. So I'm super excited to start going over these with you guys.
Yeah, and so I think the concept that we're really trying to stress is everybody has a different baseline, right?
Mm-hmm.
Based on genetics, based on something. So my metabolism is set somewhere, and it's kind of based on several different things.
Right.
And somebody else's, like, we'll say Christine, yours is somewhere else. Yours could be up here or down here. So naturally, you could be burning more calories than me just by sitting there and going through your daily functions.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, body composition is just one factor that can affect, your metabolic rate. So you could have two people eating the exact same foods a day and have totally different metabolisms.
yeah, and I think that's part of what that's part of the reason why there's not one size fits all diet or one size fits all way to lose weight. You can't just say eat 1,800 calories and you should lose weight, right?
Exactly.
It doesn't work like that for everybody. And so I think this is a good talk to have, because then we can start talking about, here's some things that we do know that can help you. So we have one additional question for you to move us on to the next topic. Which one of these foods or drinks does not increase your metabolism? So let us know which one of these does not increase it. So we've got vegetables, canned fruit, water, and chicken. So Christine, as we're doing this, there is a question that came in. It's from Casey. Let me see if I can't bring that up. Is there a way, brought up the wrong one. Technical difficulties. Is there a way to measure our baseline metabolism?
There is an equation that we sometimes use here as far as getting a basic idea of your calorie intake that you need just based on your basic metabolic rate. And I can, when we're done here, what I'll do is I'll post that equation in the comments, but it's based on your age, whether you're a male or a female. And so we can go over, I'll post that equation. So there is a way to measure like a baseline.
Yeah. And I think there's actually some tools that you could pay for that you can actually get all other ways to measure it, but they're not very standardized in practice, and they're not used quite as often. But I think that equation that you're talking about, Christine, is the most common way. So Christine, which one of these, we've got a lot of guesses, got a lot of things. We've got some canned fruit. Somebody said water. A lot of, I have no idea. So what's our answer, Christine?
Well, we have a smart audience here because canned fruit typically will not increase your metabolism. It's stripped of a lot of the fiber. It's very high in sugar, and those fruits are soaking in a lot of that juice that's in there in those sugars. So out of all of those, your canned fruits, and I've seen it on a lot of my patients' CGMs when I see a spike and I'm like, what'd you eat there? And I see a lot of, well, I ate some canned fruit. So you definitely can see that in the sugar numbers also.
We got our first TIL. Love it. Our first TIL. So today I learned. So love it. Keep it coming, guys. Yes. As we're going through, you guys are smart, and somebody asked about what is the metabolism diet. I'm sure there's probably a standard one out there, but some of the tips that we have that we're going to be talking about today can be incorporated into your daily lives and the foods that you're eating, not necessarily the metabolism diet, but definitely some principles that we can discuss to talk about. So the first principle that I have for you guys is eat plenty of protein. So protein, and eating it at every single meal. So proteins are harder for our bodies to break down. Anything that's really hard for our body to break down causes our body to use more energy to break it down. And so proteins and healthy fats are things that we can incorporate. And one thing that we'll talk about later is the fiber that we eat. Fiber, our body can't break down, and it uses resources in it. And so we need to be able to have all of that. So there's a fact that we found that protein causes the largest thermatic effect of food. So it causes us to burn the most calories while we are eating it. And I would say protein drinks don't apply. What do you think, Christine?
I agree with that some because of the fact that, that protein is already broken down a little bit. So our bodies don't have to do quite as much work for that. Some of those protein shakes can help signal the brain that we're fuller sooner because hunger is based more on nutritional needs, not calorie needs. So, our proteins and our grains are going to help signal to the brain that we're fuller sooner. But as far as taking as much of that energy to break it down, you're not going to take as much energy as you would in eating like a chicken breast.
Okay, Christine, the next one that we have, why don't you take that one?
I am a big component of this one, and it's drinking more cold water. Now, drinking a lot of water is important in all of our systems, especially in those with diabetes. Water follows sugar. So if we're spilling sugars out in our urine, water is going to follow, and that can cause you to get dehydrated. So I always encourage my patients to drink plenty of water, at least 60 ounces of water daily. But actually drinking cold water, your body has to use energy to take that cold water and bring it to, our 98 degrees so that our body can utilize it. So the cold water part of it actually is going to cause our body to utilize more energy. Drinking water can also cause you to feel fuller sooner, so you're likely to eat less. And that can be helpful in managing diabetes and those spikes in sugars. So I have my handy dandy I keep this with me all the time. It helps to have something that you enjoy drinking your water in. So if you like drinking it in something with a straw like I do, some people have like a special cup that they like. You're supporting your Iowa diabetes, which is awesome. But find something that you enjoy drinking out of and that you can kind of measure how much you're drinking throughout the day.
Something that I've noticed as I drink a lot of coffee. We'll talk about coffee in a little bit. But I find that if I just need a little pick-me-up, in addition to filling me up, the cold water actually wakes me up too. Yeah. It's almost like a splash in the face a little bit. So I like that cold water as a way to not only increase my metabolism, but also wake me up. Use that energy.
Well, what's interesting is it can keep that metabolism increased by like 10 to 30% for about an hour after you drink it. So that's pretty cool that it's increasing your metabolism for that long.
Something that Christine and I both kind of learned, we knew some of this next one, but we also looked into this one a little bit about drinking green tea. Drinking caffeine. Caffeine is an energy booster, right? And it can cause you to increase your metabolism naturally. We have to be careful with caffeine in general because high amounts of caffeine can also raise your sugars a little bit. But specifically, if you're drinking green tea or oolong tea, which Christine looked into for me because I had not heard of that, the green tea and the oolong tea actually can increase it and not have as much effect on your sugars. Mm-hmm. So Christine, what is oolong tea?
So oolong is like a Chinese-based tea, and it actually has a lot of polyphenols in it. And so what those can do is they can help to lower your blood sugar levels, reduce insulin resistance, but they also help, and they do this by increasing how much fat your body is burning. It can increase your fat burning capability by about 10 to 17%. So even though they can increase your metabolism by about 5%, the actual polyphenols in those teas can actually help you to burn fat. So that's kind of a cool thing with, incorporating some of that into your diet. And like you mentioned, you don't want to go overboard and just drink green tea all day long or the oolong tea, but, a glass a day to help get that little bit of boost. And even it's been shown to also help when you have those weight plateaus, when you're doing your exercising, you're eating right, and you're like, I just can't lose weight. Sometimes adding a little bit of that to your routine can help that plateau.
Yeah. The last little bit that we have for things to eat or incorporate in your diet, and I've already talked about it as I talked about the protein, is eating the fiber. So fiber is a very complex carbohydrate that our body actually cannot break down, found in many fruits, found in many vegetables. And our body can't break it down, but it tries to spend the energy to break it down. This is kind of like the reason why you burn more calories eating celery than you do actually by eating it. So the actual process of burning celery, breaking it down in our body, you'd burn more. So it's almost like a negative calorie. I'm not saying go eat celery all the time, because usually people can't eat celery by itself. Right. And the other things they put on it have a lot of calories. But if you're getting 30 grams of fiber a day in the fruits and vegetables, that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is adding like a fiber powder to your drinks. So we said cold water. We're talking about some of the over-the-counter fiber powders that you can add to a drink right before breakfast. Go ahead, get your fiber intake. It helps prevent a lot of things from happening. Increased fiber actually has beneficial effects on your cholesterol along with your weight.
Yeah, having that fiber with your meal actually prevents some absorption of fats and cholesterol. So you actually get less of that absorbed in your food to start. It can also help you feel fuller sooner as well. So they did a study with type 2 diabetics. One group had 30 grams of fiber daily. The other group did not. And there was no other changes. And that group that had the fiber daily had a significant difference in weight loss than the group that didn't incorporate the fiber. So when I am coaching my patients about portion control, one way to do this is to do a glass of like Metamucil with cold water and drink that before you actually have your meals. And that can help you it helps to slow the absorption of carbohydrates so you don't have those spikes. You can feel fuller sooner, and you're boosting your metabolism. So, and that can be an easy thing to incorporate into your daily routine that can have really big long-term effects in your overall health and your diabetes.
So Stacy's saying, what do you recommend for fiber? I think you just named one of the brands, Christine.
Yeah, like a psyllium-based fiber is one. That's the one that was actually studied in that comparison group.
And we can spell that. It is PSYLLUM. And that I can type, thank you. We can have that for you guys, and you can look for any of the powders on the market. I like to also take my fiber in my fruits and my vegetables that I'm eating. So that's why I always am trying to eat my whole fruits, my whole vegetables, instead of eating them through a canned or a processed factor that takes some of the fiber out. And so Tyler said, should you only have so much fiber in a day? The recommended amount, the recommended minimum amount, I believe, is 25 grams per day. This is saying to go up to 30 grams to really boost your metabolism. I haven't heard that there's a upper limit necessarily to fiber. What you will find is having more abdominal gas and bloating, as you increase your fiber too much. So that's what you would have to watch out for.
Well, one thing to mention too with the fiber is, and we're going to do a Facebook Live on this down the road because it is an important topic, but our gut critters, which make up a big portion of our immune system, they help produce serotonin. They actually produce things that help signal to the brain that we're full, but fiber is their food. And so that's another great benefit of incorporating the fiber. And you mentioned, Jamie, incorporating into your food. I like to use a lot of baby spinach to incorporate fiber into my daily routine and my kids. So that is another benefit of incorporating that fiber, is getting those gut critters healthy.
And I am looking up the question right now that says, how much is one glass of like powder? I'm looking that up for you guys right now. So as Christine talks about the next one, we can start to go through it. So
I think we actually have a poll.
Yeah. Well, I think the poll got moved.
Oh, did the poll get moved? Okay.
Unfortunately. But if you really about this, I can look that up for you guys.
And I don't know why the 8 grams is popping in my head. I could be wrong. So let me know if my brain is correct in that number or not. Okay. Other ways to increase metabolism. exercise, and we're going to specifically talk about a high intensity workout. So what does that mean, high intensity? That's when you get your heart rate above, and usually I would say around 140. There is an equation. You take 220, subtract your age, and then multiply that by like 60 to 80%, and that would be like your rate that you would want to try to exercise at. So there's an equation for that. I can put that in there as well. But, I have asthma. So sometimes for me, it's hard to do a long period of high intensity exercise because it gets my asthma acting up a little bit. So what I like to do on the treadmill is I'll do a minute of like high intensity running, and then I'll like tone it down for a little bit, and I'll do a minute of walking, and I'll use some bands, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then I'll go back and do a minute of high intensity. So I mix it up a little bit so it's more tolerable. But let's say you have some joint problems. You can do swimming at high intensity. Even dancing around your house at high intensity can really boost that metabolism. And that metabolism is going to stay increased for hours. And as we heard from Dr. Bhargava, even days after doing that exercise.
Yeah. And I think that's the key. A lot of times the high intensity workouts and some of the other workouts that we'll talk about, they increase it for 3 days. And that's why we're recommending not to go more than 2 days between a workout, because we want to keep our metabolism boosted constantly. So if you go more than that in between a workout, you're then going down on your metabolism instead of keeping it up and even potentially getting it higher. So you hit, the high intensity workouts. I'm going to add resistant workouts now. So now we're talking about lifting things, either bands or like resistance bands or lifting weights. Whoa.
I came prepared today.
So anytime that we can increase our muscle mass, we're going to increase our metabolism. So part of that equation that we talked about earlier takes into your body composition. How much lean muscle mass do you have? How much muscle do you have compared to fat? The more muscle is metabolically more active. So if I'm sitting here, my muscles are burning more than my fat cells. My fats and my other cells are not burning anything. So if I can increase my muscle mass, I can actually increase the amount of my metabolism or the baseline calories that I'm burning when I'm sitting.
Exactly.
So resistance exercises where you're lifting weights, where you're building your lean muscle mass, those are going to help you boost your metabolism. So for the ADA, the American Diabetes Association, they're saying to exercise this way to build that muscle mass 2 times per week. So we've got some different recommendations. For our patients, we're handing out the resistance bands and giving them a workout card to follow so that they can have some different ideas on some different exercises. You can also follow us on TikTok on Movement Monday. We've got some different ways that we can help you do some of those resistance exercises as well.
Well, and muscle uses sugar as its fuel. So as you're doing that resistance exercising, you're actually lowering your blood sugar as well. And so, when I have patients that are wanting to naturally lower their blood sugar and not have their sugars as high as 9, I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but you brought up the bands, is, most of us will eat dinner and then we'll sit and just kind of relax and watch TV the rest of the night. And, that kind of sets our metabolism already to night mode after one of the biggest meals of the day. So if you took out your band and while you're watching TV, and like I said, we have some videos that show, 6 activities that you can do with bands from just sitting in your chair. But if you started, 10 to 15 minutes while you're watching TV after dinner, did some band exercises, you're going to utilize more of those sugars. You're going to increase that muscle tone. You're going to increase your metabolism. And you're going to have a much higher likelihood of reducing your diabetic medications, the need for them. Just by incorporating that simple lifestyle change, you don't have to have any crazy gym equipment. You don't have to go anywhere to the gym. just trying to do 15 minutes a night, while you're already doing something like watching TV.
I love this. Today I learned muscle uses sugar as fuel. Love it. Yes, the working muscle uses sugar straight up and uses it more even without insulin. So even if you're dealing with insulin resistance, that working muscle does it. And the last one that we have for you is standing more. So sitting is the new smoking. I think I've said it on this platform before, but sitting is the new smoking. And so if we're standing up, just by standing up, and I'm going to stand up, Christine, I'm going to boost my metabolism.
Well, and you might see in the background, I don't know if you see this here, but there is a standing desk that's actually also a bike. And so a lot of times when I'm at work, I will like rotate between here, and I'll either stand up there or I'll ride the bike while I'm working. Just, I got to tell you, when I was in medical school, I was probably in the worst shape of my life, and I felt terrible because there was so much sitting with the lectures and everything, right? I had gained weight, my joints hurt, I just had fatigue, and I just felt terrible. So, it's amazing how you're right. Sitting is the new smoking, how much it can really affect your health, and how just trying to, every 30 minutes at work, okay, let's move locations a little bit and try to get a little bit active can make a big difference.
I will actually stand during meetings. I go into student mode quite a bit, and I hate sitting for long periods of times. So if I can stand up during a meeting, even kind of pace back and forth. Otherwise, I start to get antsy, and you can't see it, but I'm at my desk and I've got all sorts of different toys that I want to constantly play with. But if I'm standing, I'm burning more calories, and I'm able to keep my fidgeting down just a little bit. Even in the virtual world, I'll stand up right at my desk. I don't have a standing desk, so I just tilt my computer. But the fact that we have for you is compared to sitting, an afternoon of standing up at work can burn an extra 174 calories. I mean, that's a good chunk. So if it would take me probably 30 minutes of walking, right, to burn, and all I could have to do was stand at work just for a few hours to do that. So that's awesome. So we want to know some questions from you guys. I know I've been asking. So we've got 2 polls back to back. We've talked about some of our favorite ways to boost metabolism by exercising. I want to know how you guys boost your metabolism by exercising. What are your favorite ways? Dr. B, what is your favorite way to exercise?
Oh, my favorite way to exercise is in the mornings on the elliptical while checking my emails or running meetings, because it let me do more than one thing. I don't necessarily recommend it. I love going for biking outside. But in terms of building muscle mass and increasing metabolism, I know I'm very acutely aware that I have to do strength training, weightlifting, and I don't do that as much. So I would love to do that, but I'm trying to free up some time, as you might know, to do that.
Yeah. And that's one of my favorite ways to work out. I used to be an all cardio person, and then I changed to doing more resistance training. And I do kind of a cross between resistance training with cardio. It's kind of built into that routine. And now I will never go back to just cardio. I get bored. But I do love what you guys are saying. Oh, Connie, you actually got the urban walking poles. I love that. That was one of our first ones that we did. And so we do have a lot of people talking about that. Casey, I think I recommend this to a lot of my people who are struggling to start working out too. Putting exercise with something that you enjoy. So whether you enjoy a TV show that you can watch while doing the elliptical or the bike, or getting the resistance bands out and doing it during the commercial breaks, I think that is awesome. We do have a question from Jerry, and then I think I have one last question for the audience. Does sleep patterns have an effect on increasing metabolism?
Well, reduced sleep, does, and if I don't know if you're talking about if you're on like a third shift or something like that, and that can affect things a little bit. But lack of sleep increases your stress hormone, which does make it harder to lose weight. Packing on fat, lowering metabolism as well. So it is important to get plenty of sleep. And there has been studies that show that your metabolism is lower, at certain hours at night, usually from 9 p.m. to like 6 a.m. is when it's typically lower than other times of the day. And then usually you're not as active at night, right?
Yeah. And I think we have seen that with less sleep, there is more stress hormones released, and weight, like you said, will pack on. So ask us your questions again. I've got the final poll for the audience. Let me add it back in. How comfortable are you now with the concept of metabolism? So, heard of it, slightly confused, have a good understanding, or totally understand it.
Could do this Facebook Live for us next time. Be a co-host.
Looks like a lot of C's, look like much better, very comfortable, makes sense. So it looks like we moved some people up the scale. So
Nice
that
job.
was what we wanted. We wanted to move
Awesome.
it up just a little bit. So this is awesome.
And like
I
we
think you
said,
should
no
reverse your
percent of
grades next
patients.
time. A grade D feel like failing, but it like totally understand it. So
And
I
here
was
it's
like,
like
people
A
are doing
plus plus.
C's, and I said, what happened? Then I realized that you have it kind of reverse. So okay, cool.
So at this point, I want to know from Dr. Bhargava and Christine, I want to know your today I learns.
I'll go with mine. I think the 30-gram fiber was a monster for me, like 30 grams. So I like bananas. I looked up a banana typically has 3 grams. So I just need to eat 10 of those. No, I won't. My potassium will be too high. So I'm going to think about the Metamucil idea and see if I'm able to just and drink it. We'll see. But that 30 grams of fiber was a big one for me today.
Well, and I learned a little bit, just in preparing and understanding the green tea and the oolong tea as far as its ability on increasing fat metabolism as well. So I found that pretty interesting, not just in, increasing your metabolism, but also with burning fat. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Let's get some oolong tea for the office and get our
Totally.
metabolism
And
up.
some Metamucil will just all be.
Oh yeah, why don't we make Metamucil tea? No, let's move on. Okay.
Today I had to look up. So today I learned how many grams of fiber per teaspoon of Metamucil. So I posted it for everybody.
Oh yeah, what is it?
It was 5 per 2 teaspoons.
Okay.
The serving size for it.
Okay.
So you just have to drink 6 glasses a day. Or
get some in your food, right?
Or get some in your food.
Yeah,
I did want to say I saw something that was really interesting, a comment. So Stacy, you said you read a book. I'd be curious to have you post that book, especially if you found it really helpful and you think others in the group would find it helpful. Mm-hmm. So I feel free to share some of this. This is a sharing group. We want to hear more about these topics. So thank you all for joining us. We are planning on having our next Facebook Live in 1 month, so in about 4 weeks. So right before Halloween, we're going to be hosting it on October 27th.
And the topic is?
We didn't have it on here, but it is now finalized. We are talking about foot infections and foot care, and we've got a special guest coming in to speak to you guys all about that.
Well, as we know, diabetes is the leading cause of non-traumatic amputations in the United States. So taking care of your feet and your soles, SOLES, is very important. And we'll be doing that on October 27th. So please join us. Thank you, everyone. Christine, phenomenal job. Jamie, I enjoyed,
Thank
learned a
you.
lot. Everyone, thank you for joining us in our quest to change diabetes together. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.